I did have to deal with a couple of things in process, but what really came from it was dyslexia. And my reading slowed down so much. I was embarrassed. I was a kid who would read in class and blah, blah, blah. I mean, nature always inspired me, but especially then when I felt like, oh my goodness, I can't read so good anymore. Walking around on trails with my best friend Bonnie and talking about things in the woods and pretending that we were adventurers and we were some of the only women we were little girls at this point, adventurers. I feel like nature in so many ways saved me during that time.
This is People and Their Poems, a podcast about the poems that make a difference in our world. People and Their Poems is presented by Oronog Mountain Publishing. Thanks for joining us today.
Welcome to People and Their Poems podcast. I'm your host, Sandy Carlson, and I'm here today with poet Sherri Bedingfield of West Hartford, Connecticut. Sherri has recently published a new collection of poems called In the Dream You Wore Yellow Leaves, which is a beautiful title and has a beautiful cover that she painted the artwork for. The book is available on Amazon and from the publisher Grayson Books. We will be sure to put the links in the podcast notes so you can get your copy. Sherri, welcome and thank you for joining me on the podcast today.
Thank you so much, Sandy. I'm so glad to be here. It's a real honor. It's fun. And you know what? I'm a longtime fan of your poetry. We've met at, I think the first time was at an outdoor event in Cheshire that Pat Mottola was hosting. Yes.
And I fell in love with your poems there. And then we've had more and more poetry conversations. So it's really exciting to have a one-on-one conversation with you about what inspires you and what specifically inspired you to create this collection. So would you take it from there? Where does it all come from in your soul?
Okay, so now I have two thoughts. I want to jump into my childhood, and just for a couple of minutes, I was a little girl that loved to draw and was very, very happy drawing and writing little notes about what my images or what my figures or what my little scribbles were saying, because they were very often communicating with other images on the page. So I had a lot of fun doing that, and I sort of didn't tell anyone. And my dad discovered it, and my dad said, "Oh, I really like those little pictures." And he never said anything about the words, but I just thought, all right, I got to keep going. And then I just kept writing and going to school and being with my friends. And when I was 12, I had a cerebral hemorrhage, which ended up I recovered from it very well, but it was a couple of years in process. And my folks were first told I wouldn't be able to read or write or walk again. And I remember being in the hospital. I just thought, that's wrong. I know it's wrong. And thank goodness it was wrong. I did have to deal with a couple of things in process, but what really came from it was dyslexia. And my reading slowed down so much. I was embarrassed. I was a kid who would read in class and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, I just kept going. And you know what, at that point, I mean, nature always inspired me, but especially then when I felt like, oh my goodness, I can't read so good anymore. But walking around on trails with my best friend Bonnie and talking about things in the woods and pretending that we were adventurers and we were some of the only women we were little girls at this point, adventurers. But I mean, I feel like nature in so many ways saved me during that time. And then as a teen, I discovered, well, I got to say, I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, because that does have a little relevance here. But along in, I mean, we got no poetry in grammar school, but I discovered somewhere along the way Flannery O'Connor and Mary Oliver. And boy, did they turn my head. Flannery O'Connor, I thought, oh my goodness, she writes things people won't even say. She reveals this and that. And she was very exciting to me. And I wrote little short things I never finished, but she was great. And Mary Oliver, just forever. I mean, I would just love the way she writes about nature, just is so very special. I'm so grateful because her spirit encouraged me to to write more. So in college, I was journaling more and journaling about my feelings and about, I don't know, friends and new boyfriends and my best friend's boyfriend and stuff like that. But I got I got into just more writing and more writing, and I felt lonely, and I didn't really want to tell anyone because I thought I wasn't that good, even though I loved my English classes. But after struggling for about another year, I just read stuff to somebody. A barn burned, and I wrote something about it. And this girl really liked it, and she introduced me to a couple of people, and I joined a writing group, and that was terrific because I could be with them and listen to them and learn from them, and they liked to hear whatever it was I was playing with. Um, so
Hey, Sherry, was your writing group fellow undergraduates? Was it a mixture of
it
um,
was the first one was a mixture. And there was one substitute teacher in there, and she was really, really important. But my writing group after that was I was amazed they had me. It was very successful writers and folks who had just majored in writing all over the place. So I was honored just to be writing with them. But yeah, my first group was mixed.
Gotcha. And if I could ask, what were you studying in college at the time you were in this writing group with these other successful writers?
Well, I started studying biology. I love biology and nature and all that. Well, I got to physics and I changed my major. I went to psychology. So I like psychology too. And I kind of always wanted to be a helper. And I just, I don't know, that course I just left it. And went into psychology and got a little job at the Y, a very small job, but went on and got two masters and became a family therapist and a counselor. I worked with two youth service agencies and got to go in high schools in Glastonbury, or a high school in Glastonbury, and middle school. Um, and I just loved it. I loved my job. I didn't retire till I was in my 70s. So it was work I loved and didn't want to leave. And I think my work also inspired me to write. I was going to say at some point during my process, I noticed my senses, not that we don't notice our senses all the time, but the the detail from sounds and touch and all of it really made me look closer at everything. And I found I could go into places like a grocery store. I mean, I went to obviously a lot of ordinary places and pick up something that someone else was doing over in an aisle and just make up stuff about it. And that was fun. That was really fun. Um, so I also love research, and I learned that in another course. And I discovered that I really enjoyed reading my work out loud to myself because it helped me I was kind of a rambler, and it helped me kind of real, okay, I'm writing about this. And I did have some things that would come straight to me, like the whole thing, the whole poem. But that was rare. More it was like I was sort of, oh, well, look at that. And it was filled with five other ideas, and I would kind of weave through them. Now it's more even. I've maybe I've written three collections now, which I never thought I would ever do. But my first collection was published in 2010. I called it Transitions and Transformations. And I'll show you the book because I did the art on the cover. I don't know if you can see it well here.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
And if you could see
The
the
people
three
in there. I see the people.
faces, yeah,
Yeah.
there's people there. And then my next piece, which I went to Scotland to research, I was so excited that I could do that, the clattering. And I did this artwork too. And there's four women that are apparent on the cover.
Mhm.
And the artwork is always great fun. And well, I'll just show this one again. You've seen this. Um, but I love doing that tree. And I'm planning on doing another tree for you later on in the season.
What's your personal connection to the tree on the cover of that book?
Well, it's it's very much like a tree I had to have cut down. And there's a poem about that in the book. It was a gorgeous black locust tree, and I can certainly read you the poem. But when I realized that its roots were going to keep going into the house and knocking the porch over, not over, but out from the house, that we were going to have to take it down. It made me very sad. And I apologized to the tree every time I walked by it there for a while. But I'm glad to read that poem also, if you would like that. And I
Yeah.
have others. I could read a poem from The Clattering, or a poem from Transitions and Transformations, or what do you think?
Well, you got three collections. How about something from each collection?
Okay, that
And
sounds
I
good.
want to say, I just find it really interesting and listening to you, some phrasing that repeats that I think just captures you. Just keep going. You just
Yeah,
keep going.
yeah,
This, and your resilience and facing life for what it delivers to you, overcoming those challenges, and then just enjoying what life presents, whether it's the poetry group or when you were younger, walking the trails with your best friend, and just encountering people in the supermarket. I think you speak from a poet's heart for sure. And, what you say resonates with me when you say, nature saved me, and
yeah.
having read your poems and heard you read your poems, that comes through them so beautifully. And also your influences, Flannery O'Connor, was a good old limit pusher herself,
Hey,
as
oh,
was Rick
yeah.
Oliver. So you got both ends of the coastline covered there too, right? You got Georgia and Cape Cod.
Right, 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 right. Yeah.
Oh, this is great. So what would you like to read first,
So
Sherry?
I think I'll read first from The Clattering because it's a narrative collection of poetry. And it was really a challenge and very exciting for me to put this together. So I'd like to read just a little part of the introduction so I can sort of ground you in where I'm going here. Forfar Castle, one of King Malcolm's castles, had defended Scotland from Danish invaders. The region surrounding the castle was known as Forfarshire. By the time Isabel Shriery and Helen Guthrie were living, it had long been demolished and lay in chunks scattered across the county. Isabel, Helen, and a number of their peers were eventually judged and condemned in Forfarshire Township, The poems here in this collection are about these women and others in Forfarshire, or Forfar, as the town is called today, um, during those difficult years. The religious wars were going on, the Reformation, the Black Plague. The population was pretty fearful, and it was easy for the powerful to manipulate a really frightened population to gain money or land or control of the villagers. The poems are about real people that really lived. I don't have more details than the details I was able to collect. So this is written with historical fact and imagined details. So throughout the book, I have sort of a chorus of the villagers' voices. The villagers' voices, number one, number two, number three, and number four. So I'll just read one of those, and the villagers would sort of tell the reader kind of what's coming up or what already happened or little summaries. Anyway, here is the villagers' voices. Two. A gathering of hares almost never happens in the wild woods or any other place. And if it has, no one ever claimed to see them, at least no person. Maybe the jackdaws in the field or a cat in the low grass might tell of such a thing if they could speak. You've never seen a gathering of hares, have you? Still, the stories tell of hares gathered in silent circles, staring at each other across the air between them, staring and staring. There must have been something to it. A wise old man had a tale of them. He walked to town twice each day to see if there was cause for suspicion. Once, walking past the church, he saw two men and several women gathered there, an air of the unusual between them. He could see one of the women clearly. It was wifey, the tax collector's wife, and her hair was down, and she was wearing a blue cape. Standing they were, maybe about to enter the back door of the kirk for a kirk session. That's a church. A neighbor took his eyes briefly, a small moment. When he glanced back to the entryway, the people were gone. Long-legged hares leaped and scampered in zigzags toward the woods. Such a scene! In a blink, a mere wink, the wild rabbits disappeared. He had a strange feeling when he saw the blue cape caught in a thicket. The long-legged hares, could they have been shapeshifters? The wise old man pondered it. His lips pursed. There we go. Halfway through the book.
That's
Okay.
great. I love the shapeshifters. We can find someone to blame and a reason to back it up.
That's right. That's right. When you got your shape shifters. So, in the transformations, it was my first book, and I was just all over the place with these poems, but I like to read you this one. This was taken partly from Marc Chagall's painting. I'm sorry, I'm trying to not get behind the block here. Um, Marc Chagall's painting, he calls The Yellow Room, and I actually have it right there. I don't know that you can see that much of it,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's about my parents. Your mother with her head on upside down. Your father secretly a poet. That must be your playful mother with her head on upside down this evening. Your family all here in the magnificent yellow kitchen. Your mother and her quiet smile. After all she taught you about the forces of the mysterious in yourself that you would use your whole life. Your father, secretly a poet, stares out the window at the city, your city, in the pink light of sunset, or it could be sunrise on another day. That cozy tilted yellow table with the cup slides towards cubic abstraction. The comfortable shaded cow with babies in her belly under the table, quietly resting, knows she's the favorite cow. Or is this simply a moment of magic in the family's yellow room?
Oh, love that. Wow. It's amazing where ekphrastic poetry can take you. The interplay of whatever was in Chagall's mind when he created that and where you went with it.
Yeah, yeah,
It
I was
creates.
so taken by that paint. Well, by him too, by a lot of the stuff he did. But should I continue with a poem or two, or
Well, I just wanted to comment that
yeah,
your father's secretly a poet is just a really evocative line.
yeah,
I mean, I think of my own dad, and he was in his own way. He was pretty rough and ready, but he was secretly a poet. He was
yeah,
always invoking Odin, and I wish I could have him back so I could ask him where he learned about Odin from because it doesn't come up much in the public schools around. Even back
yeah,
then. Oh,
yeah,
but the
yeah.
things we know and the magic in a family.
Well, my dad was amazing. My dad was born into a farming family, which we were in South Georgia. My dad loved to dance. He played the mandolin, he played the clarinet. He went and lived in New York City for a year, well, almost 2 years. He loved boats. He joined the Navy. He came home and went to Georgia Tech and became an engineer. He married my mother, was an artist, a photographer. My dad did everything. He was just this magical man that I love to go for walks with. So I got lots of dad stories.
Oh, that's beautiful. And your playful mother, and she put her head on upside down. That's everybody has agency in that poem.
Yeah,
It's really, really wonderful.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sometimes I think, scientific method, reason, we've got to make a case for the spirit, it seems like a lot of the
yeah,
time, and make a case for magic.
yeah,
And
yeah,
poetry makes that case for us.
it
It's
does.
real.
It does.
I guess we're still recovering from the Enlightenment.
Yes, yes. Maybe that'll go on forever. Right?
We
I
will
don't
keep writing
know.
poems.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear the last thing you said.
Oh, I said then we have to keep writing poems. Keep making the case for the spirit, right?
Yes, we do. We do indeed. So let's see, where should I go now? Should I read something from this book or should I chat more about what to do when you're becoming a writer, a poet, or
Well, I'm on the edge of my seat for a poem from the new one, if you don't mind, and then let's
okay.
go from there. I'm like a 12-year-old. I in a candy shop. I just gotta have it. you know.
I like that too. So, this is a poem about car trips. It's for my son. Read the front seat. Remember, we used to drive around. Sometimes we had a destination. Other times not. We just drove. The weather could matter. Mostly it didn't. Just the ride itself. The two of us in the front seat, roaming the roads. We were free souls. We could talk about anything. I'd get excited at our front seat freedom, our back road adventure, our highway vista. It was just the two of us. You loved to sing and play CDs. Our capacity for chorus in the front seat was stunning. We would get we would get playful when we didn't know the words. We'd make up lines. I don't remember most of our duets. I remember the joy though. Okay, let's see.
That's great. It is a rite of passage for kids, right? To get into that front seat and kind of
It is.
and get the full view, not the back of somebody's head, and enjoy those
Absolutely, it is.
beautiful poem. Lots of love in that one.
Yeah, yeah, I like writing love poems to just about everything. Now, I have some heavier pieces about addiction and recovery, writing 300 poems, and lighter things about lady slippers. And The Scent of Earth is another one about walking with the trees. That was very inspired by Woodbury, Flanders
Yeah.
Nature Center. So, which one should I choose?
Oh, I don't know.
All right, let me choose 300 poems.
Okay.
Okay, so if one was in recovery from almost anything, if you can, it's kind of fun to do art. You could do drawing or dancing, but many, many people do writing, and many write poems. This poem is called the 300 Poems. After all that came before, isolation and a jealous stepfather, your mother, a mere girl, was too young for parenting. Yet you were confident. Under watching moons, you explored miles of railroad, desert, and highway, carried your own blessed heart out of the muddy wetness, walked yellow fields, hunted by hawks, grazed by starlings. You rearranged your own life on the northwest coast, at the water's edge, slept in the narrow bed, kept cabinet doors closed, learned 300 poems to save your own life. And much later, at a microphone, shoulders squared over flat green earth, your voice sang out with an opening poem, a calling like a deep and heavy bell.
Wow, Sherry.
And when you see a poet do that, it's like, oh, there's a miracle right there, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
So, so what did you discover in your most recently with the project of pulling together in the dream you wore yellow leaves um, about
I
yourself,
think
poetry, or the process?
um, I get at the beginning of a project and I'm excited about it and I get along in it a little ways and I start getting anxiety and oh my goodness, what this, that, what's next, where should I go? Um, but I think getting through that a few times, I've I've learned that I'm a writer. And that took a while. I mean, I kind of kept writing and not really believing it. And so it was something to come out and feel it at some point, hey, I'm writing, I'm a writer.
Right. And when you were talking about when you were younger and you were in college in that writing group and you were surprised they let you be a part of it because they were, it's part of it, I think, is humility doesn't let you say it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we're always honing, but to recognize, yeah, I am doing this and reaching
yeah.
people is really, really something. Do you have to do anything in particular to get through the anxiety, or is it, as you said earlier, you just keep going?
Well, I do just keep going, but I go for walks. I take dance classes, or I did. I'm not doing that now. I'm trying to do yoga. Keep with my yoga, keep bending my joints. But I would do physical things, walking and dancing and talking to people about it or talking to another writer that was open to it. And some of my friends weren't. They really didn't want to talk about process. And I was absolutely into process. But I felt good getting through my projects and finishing them and finally let myself have it that you are a writer. I think all the time I was thinking, geez, you're not gonna, what about the money? Why don't you like be an accountant, right? But I don't have those genes. I don't have those genetics. So, but anyway, I love what I did. I love being a counselor.
Yeah, oh, it's powerful stuff, and you're constantly hearing stories and absorbing stories, and I'm amazed by what our brains can do if we trust that if we put things on the back burner when we go for a walk,
Yeah.
something's going on in there. And I say this all the time. The great writers throughout history believed in the muses, that we're channels for these stories, and being in nature creates that space for the story to find its way to the foreground. It's powerful.
It really does again and again and again. It's like it never quits, no matter what season it is. It's being in nature, I think, has taught me to watch, be more observant and read. There's always something more to read about whatever the thing is that you're interested in or exploring. Um, yeah, I do read all over the place. I think I kid with my brother sometimes, and we're very, very different people. But I love to travel, and he travels by reading books. He really doesn't want to leave town, right? Yeah.
We had a neighbor like that. We were standing outside, and he said, "I don't need to leave Woodbury." You know?
Yeah, yeah. That's my brother would be like, I don't need to leave Augusta. I can read about that.
Maybe there's deep down some people are real serious suitcase phobes or something. It's just the
Yeah,
idea of
yeah,
that transition out of what's familiar.
yeah, yeah.
So, what are your recommendations for people who are maybe where you were at a certain point in life where they like to write and they're not sure they have an audience? I want to kind of go for it. What would you recommend?
Well, I kind of struggle with that a little bit, but I would probably recommend things like I did, where I found some avenues to take my voice more than I was doing, to share that I was writing. And anyway, I would say read a lot. I would say go places where others are reading. I really have enjoyed going to libraries and going to open mics and libraries and other places that bring in famous poets. And if watching them, I mean, they're so inspiring. And then you can always read from them after you watch them. Um, I think I think that's what I do, and that's what I would recommend. I do also stay very in touch with the physical. Like you got to get up and walk, you got to dance, you got to stretch, you've got to do some, go look at the trees. Go look at the trees. Um, I I don't know. I can't imagine a world without nature. We got to take care of it. We got to figure out how to keep taking care of our trees and our
I'm
other living beings.
Yeah, they are our friends. Like Robin Wall Kimmerer refers to them in braiding sweetgrass and certain the serviceberry tree. They are sentient. They're
Yeah,
with us.
they really are. They really are. But I've got to also recommend art if you have any interest in it, any kind of art, I think is so helpful for people. I mean, even, I don't know, I don't want to say even about anything, but for me, my grandmother taught me to crochet. And it's quite wonderful to go back and just crochet another scarf. I could give it away. People can say prayers over it. It can be, a blessed scarf. There's so many things you can do.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it really comes down to being in your world,
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
the things that are available to us are available in our public libraries, which are incredible testaments to democracy, to freedom, and possibility with the
They
art, programming, the books.
They are the most wonderful things. And as a girl, I didn't really have access to libraries. I knew about them. And sometimes we would get a truck driving around with books on it and we could go look at those books. But once I could get to a real library, a big library, oh man, you know, oh, we we need our libraries.
We do, and we need our poets. So thank you so much, Sherri, for sharing your poetic voice today and your insights on your art. Your poetry is amazing, and I can't recommend your books enough. And so thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you so much. It's a real pleasure, as you're a wonderful poet yourself.
Oh, thanks.
This has been People and Their Poems, presented by Oronog Mountain Publishing. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to check the show notes for more information about this episode. Visit OronogMountainPublishing.com for more information about our services and writing opportunities. And visit peopleandtheirpoems.net to learn more about the podcast.